Good morning, my all dear class 12th B students. As in the previous part of this chapter, development of banking, we have discussed the drawbacks and etc. And in this chapter, we will discuss the crisis period from 1930 to 17 in First World War. So, under the influence of feeling of nationality, the Indian banking progressed tremendously. But as many as 95 banks failed between 1913 to 1917 during the First World War. What was the cause of failure? Mismanagement. The knowledge and the experience of managing the banking business was lacking. Means they don't have knowledge and as well as they don't have the management. Misappropriation of funds. These banks were very unprofessional. They use that money. They use that money in for false practice, misappropriation of fund, and that is why their money was ruined. After that, uninterested shareholders. Their shareholders were such that they had just invested the money and they don't need anything else to know. So they were uninterested about the business and the bank. That is why the management of the bank was doing everything to make their own profits. Okay. Other activities. Most of the banks were busy in other activities besides banking. Rate of interest. On account of cutthroat competition, many banks were offering high rate of interest to attract the depositors, and when they were unable to pay that huge interest, they just became insolvent and they failed. Partners, directors, some of the banks were established by industrial and big business so that the funds of business could be utilized for their industry and business. Other causes besides above, those Indian banks had no cooperation between us and no proper statutory control over banking system. So these were the crises. Now, consequences of failure of banking. I had already told that few banks were failed during the period. So, what were the consequences? The progress of banking, and most of the people lost faith. Means the progress of banking stopped. People lost faith in the banking system. Several persons lost their entire saving of whole the life. The number of banks closed down was far more than establishment of new banks. Due to such distributing situation, the government and the business community felt the need of the central bank and well-defined statutory policies of the banking. That is why Banking Act 1949 was came into existence, and RBI was also formed. So, progress between 1918 to 39. After the First World War, the period of great economic depression occurred, and the progress of banking activities also suffered very badly. As many as 84 banks having capital of 5 crore failed between 1919 and 1925. In between 1926 38, 440 more banks were failed. The regular failures of the bank compelled the government to constitute a committee in 1929 to find out the cause and to suggest remedial pressures. On the recommendation, the Reserve Bank of India was established in 1st April 1935. Okay. So, after the establishment of Reserve Bank of India, what were the developments during Second World War? Establishment of new banks. New banks were formed. Then deposits. During the Second World War, 1939 to 1945, the common man, industries and business had sufficient turnover and earned good profit. This encouraged people to save more and more money in the banking system. Then deposits were increased from 241 crore to 872 crore. Capital and reserve, the increase of deposits was much faster than the increase of capital and reserve to the banks. The loans and the advances increased to 237 to 143 crore. Total investment of the scheduled bank also increased 72 crore to 433 crore. These data should be learned by you. Okay. Even though the progress of banking network was quite rapid, yet it had certain inherent weakness. Some of the weakness were inadequate space, improper utilization of bank's capital, improper management, improper accounting system. So these was also rectified slowly, and due to this, today we have a strong banking system in our country. So in the next video, we will discuss progress of banking system since independence, the fourth, and after that we will discuss present banking system, and our this chapter will come to an end. So till then, bye bye, students. Learn this. If you find any query or doubt, you can ask.